Hi colleagues, hi Miss Rua. Now I want this to be the last lesson on the Nhemamusasa bases that we are doing now, but it's not just the bases. It is to show that if you have many different ways of playing the Kutsinhira, you can start mixing them up, and in mixing them up, I want to explain how Mbuya Beaular did hey intro. So if you go to the lessons, the Nhemamusasa Kutsinhiras lesson 5, it concentrated on the top notes, and then we're playing the Kutsinhiras. First phrase. So this is Nhemamusasa Kutsinhiras 5, concentrating on the upper notes on the left side. And then in the Nhemamusasa bases, we've learned the part. So these are the Nhemamusasa bases, the Chikonamombe bases. Now, so what I want to show you as we get to Mbuya Beaular, I will do the intro, is that you can take the first half of the first phrase from the style of playing the upper notes. Again. And then the second half, you take it from the bass notes. So the first phrase, if we're playing just the upper notes, that's the first phrase. So we're not taking the whole first phrase, we're just taking the first half. And then if we're playing the bass notes, but we're not taking the first half, we're taking just the second half. So this becomes the first phrase. First phrase. Second phrase. Again. Third phrase. Again. Last phrase. This is it. So this only makes sense if you already know the way to play the upper notes and you already know the way to play the bass notes. And so you have to go back to that Nhemamusasa Kutsinhiras 5 to learn the upper notes, or the Nhemamusasa bases 1 and 2 to learn these bass notes. And so let me play it continuous. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is it. Now, so this is one part. The next step. So what we're doing is taking the first half of each phrase from one variation of playing the left upper notes, and then the second half of each phrase we're taking from the bass notes. Now you don't have to split it exactly half-half. You can take the first 3 notes out of 8 from the version where you're playing the upper notes, and then the next 5 notes from the bass notes. So instead of you go, you're already jumping to the bass notes. So this becomes the first half. So So this is just a question of where are you splitting, the part that you take from, the variation of playing the upper notes and the part that you take from the basses. And I think you should experiment. You should experiment on this. So what I want to get to is how Mbuya Dyoko did the intro and show you this is how she did the intro. So this is the first part of the intro. So this is the first phrase of that intro. Second, this is the second phrase. Third phrase. Last phrase. So if we do again. This is how Mbuya Dyoko played the intro. But I've already done the explanation. She was taking the first part of each phrase from the top notes, but taking just 3 notes, and then the other 5 come from the basses. This is the first. She takes another 3 for the second phrase. 3, and you take the next 5. So for Mbuya, she used this as an intro, and when she gets to, and then she immediately goes into the Nhemamusasa Kutsinhiras. So the way she would do the intro. So this is it. So this is Mbuya Dyoko's intro. But I've already explained how it is Nhemamusasa. If you're looking at the Kutsinhiras, she's taking from the part of Kutsinhiras using the upper notes, and it is not split exactly 4 notes, it's 3 notes at the top plus 5 notes at the bottom. So I think this settles the Mbuya Dyoko intro. I promised I would teach this. But some people use this not as an intro. If you find the album by Chatwell Lutiro, the album is called Chivaraidze, and he played Nhemamusasa. I think that's the second song on that album. He played this part which we're calling the intro. He played it as a kushaura, well, you could call it a kushaura or a kutsinhira part, but he played it for the whole Nhemamusasa song he was playing. And he played it continuous and continued with it. And then the other Mbiras played an additional kushaura as well as the kutsinhira part. So you don't have to use this just as an intro. You could actually play it as a Nhemamusasa part If you have 2, 3, or 4 Mbira players, this is one part that you could play. And I have not heard it from other players or other recordings, but if you can find that album Chivaraidze by Chatwell Lutiro. So I think the lesson here is that once you have several ways of playing the Nhemamusasa Kutsinhiras, you could pick a part from the upper notes, pick a part from the bass notes, and in fact you could experiment, because this is how you end up developing your own arrangements. You could pick the first part from the bass notes, so I'm now picking the first part from the bass notes, the second part from the top notes. But these are things that you can experiment now that you have different ways of playing the Nhemamusasa Kutsinhiras. So the one part of the lesson is that you can mix the different parts, and you don't have to mix half-half. You can mix 3 notes plus 5 notes, as long as the total is 8, and start making your own arrangements. The second narrower part of the lesson is just to show you how Mbuya Beaular did the intro. And if you enjoy the intro, it is on Afamba Porter, it is on, pretty much most of the recordings that she did on Nhemamusasa. She would start with that intro. So I think that's the point of the lesson, and we'll stop here. Thank you.